citizens of the world. We are anonymous. As we all remember, months before the special military operation started, the political West sent enormous amounts of handheld weapons, primarily ATGMs, anti-tank guided missiles, and manpads, man-portable air defense systems, to the Kiev regime. Since then, the military aid has been significantly expanded and included any and every vehicle any armed forces would need, as well as aircraft, drones, etc. It's safe to say that nuclear weapons are probably the only thing the neo-Nazi junta hasn't gotten so far, hopefully, at least. The BRICS information portal has covered this topic extensively and has been warning about the unnecessary devastation and further prolonging of the conflict, as well as the dangerous prospect of massive proliferation of advanced, military-grade weapons that no police force, unless heavily militarized, is equipped to handle. And yet, although the United States lacked, and still does, any sort of oversight, exacerbating the problem significantly, all the warnings fell on deaf ears. Washington D.C. itself already knew perfectly well how corrupt the Kiev regime officials are. Even before the NATO-backed Maidan coup, the Ukrainian military was infamous for high levels of corruption and embezzlement. In order to better understand this, we should briefly go back to the end of the former USSR and the fate of its massive military. Ukraine was a crucial part of the enormous Soviet military-industrial complex. In some respects, it was even rivaling its Russian counterpart. After the USSR's dismantlement, the then newly independent Ukraine was awash with weapons of virtually all kinds. This included anything from assault rifles to strategic bombers and ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. According to various estimates, Ukraine inherited approximately 30% of the former Soviet military. Due to a severe post-Soviet economic decline, it simply couldn't afford to sustain such advanced weapons. The people in charge of all these weapons soon realized they were sitting on a virtual arms El Dorado. Naturally, selling such advanced military-grade systems was illegal. Thus, the newly minted oligarchs, wielding tremendous political power and influence, found ways to circumvent the law, and soon, an enormous outflow of weapons started, helping fuel conflicts across their globe. The US/NATO directly supported these weapons shipments to former Yugoslavia, the Middle East, Africa, etc. in short, wherever their clients and proxies needed them. This process continued during the early 2000s, slowing down only due to increasingly depleted, although still large, Ukrainian stockpiles. US officials surely must have known that the same fate would await Western weapons in their hands of the neo-Nazi junta forces. And while even some US lawmakers expressed skepticism about the claims that NATO-sourced weapons were ending up where they were officially supposed to, the process continues to this very day. This was despite the fact that the Pentagon itself admitted it had no way of tracking Western weapons. The allegations became even more concerning after numerous reports found that the armaments in question started appearing on the darknet, the regular internet's underground, where illicit activities are the norm. The clients range from various crime syndicates, particularly narco cartels, to terror groups and non-state actors with serious military wings. Obviously, both the weapon providers and the clients are anonymous. However, do we need to explain who the providers are if the weapons being sold are Javelins, Stingers, NLAW or any other type of ATGMs and manpads that the US and NATO sent to Ukraine in recent years? Approximately a year and a half ago, I touched upon the subject of just how dangerous this is and what sort of disastrous consequences this could have for people all across the globe. Since then, many countries have experienced a massive inflow of illegal arms, further fueling organized crime and terrorism. However, the troubled Biden administration keeps obstructing attempts to audit weapons shipments to Ukraine. The deeply corrupt Kiev regime abused this opportunity to the maximum by continuing to flood the global black market with weapons that the aforementioned illegal armed groups could otherwise never get their hands on. We are now certain that this also contributed to the escalation in the Middle East, primarily thanks to the abundance of footage from the latest Israel-Gaza conflict. The video and photo evidence show that the Hamas militants used Western-made weapons during their attacks on IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, in the areas around the Gaza Strip. Various reports indicate that Hamas acquired massive amounts of weapons from all over the region, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, but many of the types we've seen could have come from only one place, Ukraine. As we will continue to expose the neo-Nazi junta, who was using the now-defunct grain deal to smuggle in weapons, intelligence sources indicate grain shipping was also used to get them out of Ukraine. The list of weapons Hamas could have gotten in this way is still far from conclusive, but the aforementioned war footage confirmed the following: Swedish-made Carl Gustaf recoilless rifle, grenade launcher, US-made M4 assault rifle, US-made Javelin ATGM, Swedish-made AT4 ATGM, German-made RGW-90HH recoilless rifle, grenade launcher, UK-Swedish Law ATGM, US-made M72 Law grenade launcher, Polish-made LM60 60mm mortar, US-made M224 60mm mortar, US-made Mk19 automatic grenade launcher with M430A 140mm munitions, US-made M203 underbarrel grenade launcher with M433 40mm munitions, Taiwanese-made 60mm mortar shells the neo-Nazi junta received last year. As previously mentioned, this isn't the final list of foreign-made weapons Hamas could have simply never acquired legally, but only the types that were identified from their available footage. Needless to say, enormous amounts of these weapons and munitions were provided to the Kiev regime. Since the Pentagon itself admitted it lost track of Ukraine-bound weapons worth dozens of billions, we can only imagine where the arms mentioned in the list came from. It's a big question whether Hamas would have ever dared to attack the IDF had it not been so heavily armed. Thus, it can be said that the neo-Nazi junta now also has the blood of thousands of Israelis and Palestinians on its hands. However, the responsibility equally lies with its principal backers, NATO and the US. As usual, Washington DC neocon warhawks even tried to shift blame to others. We will not let that happen, as we will expose these facts in front of the eyes of the world. We are anonymous. We are everywhere. Expect us.